away from today being a lot better looking than you are right now. Okay, Kate's not going to show you that last one. But I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. I asked Kate, what do you do? Tell me your story. Turns out she's been into theater, improv, storytelling since she was a teenager. And I asked her, what do you do? She says, I am a business storyteller and I am an improvist. So what is an improvist? She said, well, I am with a group of people, we get up on stage and the crowd will yell out a random scenario or profession. And we would have to act it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show everyone how they can use the skills from improv to become more charismatic, calm, persuasive speaker. Now, I want to do her introduction a bit differently. So please give Kate a round of applause. And so the way I'm going to do her introduction is I'm going to ask her 5 questions and she's going to answer them in 1 sentence or less. So question number 1.
Yes.
Where were you born?
Glasgow, Scotland.
All right. What's the funniest public speaking encounter you've ever had? Quick.
Right here, right now.
Okay. What's the weirdest topic that you've ever had in improv?
Proctologist.
What is a proctologist?
Somebody who shoves things up your backside.
All right. And last and final question. What can we expect from your presentation? We'll let that last one sink in.
Skills and mindset of taking the skills and mindset of what performers, actors, and improvisers do on stage. Even if you never want to perform on stage, that's fine. But if you want to be keynote speakers, they're good skills. Skills that you can take away with you that will help you to be more calm, confident, charismatic, convincing speakers.
All right. Did she do it well at the improv? All right. Good job. So please give her a huge round of applause and over to you, Kate.
Kako? Groźny węgiel. Trefno dynki, cielagot, porwi, vedo, bravo. Dynki, ciolabit, dynki, vozi. Vo. 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 Even if you didn't understand what I just said, you got a message. You got a sense of me. What was your impression of me? What did you think of me?
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic, thank you.
An expert.
Absolutely, yes, thank you, an expert.
Missed the topic. Maybe missed the audience.
Maybe, thank you, yes.
Engaging.
Engaging, thank you, yes. What I actually said was my gibberish interpretation of a saying that I read about online in an article just recently, and I actually posted it on our Facebook group page. And the saying was, before people decide what they think of your message, they decide what they think of you. So what I'm going to share with you tonight is some skills about how you can be more calm, confident, charismatic, convincing as a speaker. Now yes, your message is important, I'm not denying it. Of course your message is important. But what's more important, or equally important, is who you are, who you be, how you be on stage, or even in a conversation with a potential client. How do you come across? How do you connect with your audience, either one-on-one or one to thousands? And I think the skills that will help you to do that are the skills that actors and improvisers use on stage. Who's heard of improvisation? You know what improvisation is, yes? It's when a team of people get random suggestions from the audience and immediately they have to create scenes on stage. Now, it's not random chaos. There are actually some underlying principles and a mindset and skills that improvisers use on stage in order to be able to do what they do without a script. Now, this is not going to be about teaching you to perform on stage. It's not about being comedians. It's not about teaching you to be an improviser. It's about behaving improvisationally, about thinking improvisationally. And regardless of what your topic is as a keynote speaker or a trainer, those skills will be really useful for you. So I'm not going to do a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to have you get up and do stuff. So, some of the exercise is going to be quite noisy, so I have a bit of a ritual to get silence quickly, instead of me having to shout, okay, stop, stop. I have a ritual. If you see me put my hand up like this, that means I want you to immediately be quiet, stop what you're doing, and look at me, and put your hand up to copy me. So if you see somebody else putting their hand up and stopping what they're doing, it's because they're copying me. So you copy them, and they're copying me, and very quickly, everybody will be quiet, and I don't have to shout. Okay, you willing to help me with that?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So, first exercise is something that some of you are probably aware of, you've heard about, or you've seen the TEDx talk, Amy Cuddy's talk about the power pose. Anybody seen the power pose? Yes? Okay. So we're going to practice and play around with that a bit. So, could I ask you all please to stand up? Put your pen and paper down. Thank you. And if you're not familiar with the power pose, you can check it out afterwards online. Very famous, the second most famous TEDx talk, or TED talk by Amy Cuddy about the power pose. And males or females, it doesn't matter, you can do the Wonder Woman pose. And it looks like, and if you know it, you can copy me, it looks like this. The confident power pose. Doesn't have to be aggressive, not aggressive, but confident. Calmly confident, okay? The power pose, yes. And this is something you can practice in the bathroom, hopefully with a clean floor. Practice in the bathroom before you go on stage to do your talk, is to just be confident. Imagine that you're confident, and breathing, imagining that you're confident. And relaxing. As you're breathing out, you're relaxing. Or there's a variation on the power pose, you can do it like this. Now, I'm also a bodyworker healer, so I know that our posture affects our emotions, affects our confidence. So you can do it this way, or you can do the Wonder Woman pose like this. Have you all tried this ever before, doing a talk? No? No? I recommend it, I suggest it for you. Okay.
During a talk or before a talk?
Before,
right?
Before
Not
talk.
during.
In the bathroom. Unless your talk is about how to do the power pose. Before your talk. Okay. So that's just something you can take away and practice. Also, what I like to do before a talk, and what I've done, I do storytelling workshops for business people, is about using your body and using your voice and your breathing. So another thing you can do is, and this might feel silly, but never mind, we're all going to do it together, is to just take a deep breath and let your breath out and make a sound. It's not about making beautiful music, but just make a sound. So it might look like this. Do that a few times. In the toilet, it doesn't matter. People will think you're crazy, but it doesn't matter. It will help you to just relax and calm down and be a more calm, confident speaker. Another thing that's really useful to do is to imagine that you're making eye contact with your audience, and when you're giving your speech, making eye contact with your audience. So part of being a good speaker is about really connecting with your audience, and dare I say it, loving your audience. Loving your audience. So I invite you now to just wander around the room and making eye contact with each other, and just imagining as you're breathing in calm serenity and confidence for yourself, and as you're breathing out, you're sending love and connection to the person that you're looking at. And then just yeah. And so I invite you.
Comments are in. Wishing you well.
Well, let's get me dates.
Try with the next one, please. I'm not answering.
Good, wishing well. You got the first
I'm radiating. Mine at this stage is not the best one.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephen. Any comments about that? How did that feel? A bit awkward? Thank you.
Scary.
Scary? Why?
I'm used to making eye contact but saying something. The only time that I make eye contact without saying something is with my wife. So this was very weird.
Yes, okay. And I invite you to just keep practicing it. Thank you. So just a couple of quick exercises about using your body and energy and emotion. Let's move on to the topic of storytelling. Because one of the things I do is I teach business workshops about business storytelling, how to use true stories about you, your business, your brand, your products and services, your clients, true stories about what you do, because there's been lots of research done. If you search online for the topic of content marketing, it's all about using stories in marketing, and instead of the dry facts and figures. Neuroscience tells us that we're wired for story. Our brains make sense of the world through story. So using stories in your keynote speeches, even in your pitches to potential clients, is much more effective than, as Andrew was saying. It's not just the facts about you and your career and who you are and what you do. It's the stories about the difference that you make for the client in their life and their business. So, what makes a good story? Some of the elements of satisfying, memorable stories, probably the number one feature of satisfying, memorable stories is emotion. Now, we've probably been told that business, emotion's got no place in business. But business is human beings connecting with other human beings. And we are emotional beings. We make decisions emotionally and then justify them with logic. So using some emotion in your stories is really important. A satisfying story needs to have a setting and a time and a place of when it happened. Even if it's as simple as saying, last Tuesday in Causeway Bay, or in the year 1066 in England. But something as simple as that sets the scene of when and where the story took place. A satisfying story has to have an arc or a journey from the beginning to the middle and the end, with a satisfying climax and conclusion and resolution. And there needs to be the hero going through a journey of transformation. The hero has to change in some way from the beginning of the story to the end. Otherwise, it's not a satisfying story. We want a hero who is relatable, someone that the audience can relate to. And the hero has to have a goal and a motive for achieving that goal. Why do they want to achieve that goal? A satisfying story needs some crisis or conflict or drama or crisis of some kind, or struggle. Now that can come from a villain, it can come from a situation or circumstances, an obstacle or a test or a challenge that the hero has to undergo. or it can even come from a character flaw within the hero herself. Stories, satisfying stories, need vivid, concrete details that appeal to all of the senses. So something about the fabric, the touch, the feel, the colour of the fabric, something about the sound of the air conditioning unit, something about the taste of the food we've just been eating, appealing to all of the senses. Satisfying stories need a key takeaway or a message or a call to action, asking for the sale, yes? Suspense or mystery or intrigue or surprise is useful. And depending on your topic and the audience and the story that you're telling, some humour helps as well. We've already seen that tonight, yes? Some humour helps as well. So I'm going to ask you to do another little exercise in pairs where you're going to tell each other a story, and I'll give you the instructions. You're going to tell each other a story. Now, don't worry if you haven't remembered all of those things, but just conversationally you're going to be telling each other a story about yourselves. What I'd like you to do when you get in your pairs, one person will decide to go first, and I will give you 1 minute. Your task is to tell your partner something about your background and your history of why it is that you are passionate about the topic that you speak about, your keynote speech or the topic that you would like to speak about when you become a keynote speaker. What is it about your life that brought you to this point, that you're so passionate about this topic and not any other topic? So find yourself a partner. Please stand up, find a partner. Thank you. Do you all have a partner?
Are we partners? Sure.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
So decide who's going to go first. Decide who's going to go first, please. Yes? Now, the listener, your job is just to listen, not to say, oh yes, the same thing happened to me. Oh yes. No. Just listen and nod and be engaged and listen enthusiastically, and just listen. Speaker, you have 1 minute. When I say go, you will have 1 minute to tell your partner a story about how you came to be passionate about the topic that you're interested in and why you are the right person, the best person, to be giving a keynote speech about your topic. So, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
So when I was insurance, I went right, it encourages me to share experience and encourage others to difficult situations in their life to have that. Sometimes 10 seconds. There have been other situations where I came to the day I started
And Thank you. Thank you. Now part 2 of the exercise is the same person who just spoke. Now you have the opportunity to tell the same story in 30 seconds. Now, that doesn't mean speaking twice as fast. It means editing your story to choose just the most compelling, interesting, relevant details from your original story, but edit it down to 30 seconds. Same thing, listener, your job is just to listen. So, ready? The same people who were just speaking, 30 seconds, same story, but edit it down to 30 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You can make sure
I'm still alive, and I'm connected to the difficulties. I'm looking for people that are passionate about sharing.
5 seconds. And stop. Thank you. Tell me a bit about what happened. How did you feel? Speakers?
No, didn't work the second time.
Didn't work?
No,
Really?
not for me, no.
Why-
no.
why not?
I don't know, I just couldn't edit it.
You
so,
couldn't?
No.
Okay. All right. What was your impression of her speech? How could she have edited it to
I
make
think
it?
maybe we didn't believe that the first one was very good. I thought it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I think you put
Yeah.
too much stress on yourself to
Possibly.
Yeah.
make it great in 30 seconds. So it was
Yeah.
pretty much great the first time. It was totally fine. So I think she kind of psyched herself out a little bit.
Yes. Okay. Now, in some situations, you have to cut
Yeah.
a speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Speakers? How was that for you?
It made you maybe connect to the thing that was highly important. There's a few highly important ones, but
Uh-huh.
it helped you distill and choose one of those ones a little bit.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to switch. The listener is now going to become the speaker. Same task. 1 minute, and then I'll give you 30 seconds. So, ready? Listeners, you just listen, okay? So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, I think great.
And speakers now, the 30-second edited version, same story, but edited down to 30 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Five seconds. And stop. Thank you. Speakers, how was that for you? How did you knew what the task was going to be?
Yeah.
How did that work out for you?
I mean, it felt a bit more substantial because I knew
Yes. Ah, okay.
I knew I was going to then have to cut it down, so I was already editing it a bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
in fact, knowing the process, the first minute is for you to explore what you're going to possibly say. So the second minute is you tidy it up and you actually have worked through the difficulties
Yes.
that you have. So it's actually a rehearsal to some extent to get it down to the key elements.
Yes.
So it was quite useful the second
Yes.
session.
Still, it felt too short.
No, it was too long for my listener.
And indeed, I was
Sorry.
going to say that the first time around you end up rambling simply because
Speak
you
for
haven't
yourself.
planned it.
He is talking about he himself alive.
Well, I found myself rambling simply because you haven't had a chance to think it through. How do you structure it? What are you going to say? So the second time around, when you do enter it, you do create a little bit more structure.
Sure.
I think you thought it through, but until you put it into gear,
Yeah.
the words doesn't come out. It might
Right.
be the tweak that I got listening to you. Like,
From the
That
listener's
works.
perspective, In the 1 minute, he had certain details about how the bookshelf fell down and he got the book. That made me see it. In the 30-second version, he had to condense it down. And that part about the bookshelf coming down wasn't there. And
Yes,
so
yes.
because I couldn't quite see it, I wasn't in it. But the 1 minute one, that was one of the best stories I've heard.
Oh, good. Thank you. Frederick, you wanted to know
No, I think being the second person, the 1 minute version for the second person is much better than this 1 minute for the first person.
Yes.
Because in the head, when I was listening to him, I knew I'm going to be asked to do the same thing.
Yes.
So I think the 30 seconds then became, I actually think my 1 minute was better than the 30 minutes.
Sure.
The 30 seconds, because then I was just trying to make the 1 minute shorter. But because I had kind of practice on while he was doing his.
Yes.
You weren't paying attention, you were thinking.
But he's honest.
I had planned, once you told us what we were doing, that I was going to watch her reaction to the 1 minute.
Yeah.
And I was going to pick up the parts that she seemed to engage with and
Yes,
just tell them
exactly.
But the problem is you didn't give me enough time to think about it. So when I started realizing I didn't really remember the parts I was looking for. Just her reaction.
Yeah.
So I just went with how do I tell the story and do the bookends and close.
Okay.
So I don't know if she noticed that, but for me it's like I didn't do what I thought I was going to execute on.
Yes.
I
Okay.
just wrapped it up so I could do it in 30 seconds.
All right. We're going to do another exercise in a minute that will give you more time to really notice your partner's reactions. Yes? Okay. Any further comments, thoughts about that? I mean, imagine if you had literally had 30 seconds in an elevator to pitch to Mark Zuckerberg. You know, what would you say? How would you edit your story down to the most compelling, punchy, effective content to get your message across? This exercise might help you with that. Okay?
Or you press the emergency button and get an extra 30 seconds,
Yes.
not a minute.
Yes.
You can see what police do when they're not worried. Well, someone's going to tell out.
Your 30 seconds on my phone.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to the topic of improvising. I mean, life and business don't come with a script. We're improvising all the time. When you woke up in the morning, God didn't give you a script. I mean, you probably had a rough idea of what was going to happen today, but you probably spoke sentences that you've never spoken before in your life. We make it up as we go along. That's what improvisers do on stage. That's what I do on stage with my team, People's Liberation Improv. We get suggestions from the audience and we immediately on the spot have to create scenes that make some sense. Now, it's not just random chaos. There are actually some underlying principles and a mindset and some skills that improvisers use that enable them to do that on stage together as a team without a script. And some of those principles, or probably the number one principle of improv or improvisation, is you may have heard of it. It's called yes and. Who's heard of the yes and phrase? Yep. That means we accept what's happening in the moment. We don't have to like it or agree with it, but we accept that it's the truth of what's happening with us, for us, around us, in the moment. And then we build on it. We add to it so that the other player has something to bounce off, like ping pong back and forth. An offer, a suggestion, a gesture, something that's happening in the room that we use in our scene. We build on it, we add to it. That's the yes and. It means being open to other people's ideas instead of the automatic yes but response. Oh yes, but the boss won't like that. Oh yes, but we tried that last year and it didn't work. Who's heard that in brainstorming meetings at work? Yeah? So yes and, the improviser's mentality and mantra of yes and, I find is very, very useful in life and business. It also helps if you're giving your keynote speech and the PowerPoint presentation doesn't work. You yes and the situation, okay? You accept it, you don't have to like it, but it's the truth of what's happening. And you respond to it, you do something different. You have to think on your feet. That's improvising. So yes and is the number one principle of improvisation. Another one is make your teammates look good. Improvising is not about you being the star of the show, getting all the jokes, telling all the jokes, getting all the laughs. We're teammates, we help each other, we make each other look good. And that's really useful in life and business as well, with your teammates, with your colleagues. Making your client look good, yeah? The person who pays the bill, make them look good to their audience, yes? So make your teammates look good. Making bold choices and taking action, and then listening for the feedback, watching the feedback from the universe, from your audience, from your teammates. So taking bold action, watching for the feedback, and changing course if necessary, being willing to change course. So improv is all about learning to think quickly on your feet, being willing to change course if necessary. It's about paying attention, being mindful of what's happening around you and in you, trusting your body and your sensations and your gut feelings, your instinct, your immediate impulse to do something. That's what we do in improv. Improv also helps you to be confident about expressing your opinions. It helps you to let go of ego, because it's not about you being the star of the show. It's about serving the best interests of the team and the situation and your audience as a speaker, letting go of ego. It helps you to come up with lots of creative ideas. So many benefits of improv that it's used around the world for work in youth work, in teaching doctors and nurses how to handle chaos in the emergency room. It's used with police officers working with teenagers. It's used in crisis and disaster response. So many applications of the principles and mindset of improvisation that are really useful, and that I've found definitely useful in my life, in my business, the way I approach life. So much so that I actually find it difficult to say the word but. I say and, a yes and, a both and rather than an either or. So we're going to have a little process, little exercise. You're going to get a taste and a feel. You're not going to have to get up here and perform, don't worry, breathe. But you're going to have a little feel of what improvisers do. Not performing for each other, but a feel of the principles and the mindset of how to approach life and work and your keynote speeches improvisationally. So could I ask you to stand up again and find a different partner, not the one you did the speaking exercise with, a different partner.
Why not?
Okay, so this is an exercise called mirror. This is called mirror. What we're going to do, I'll do a demo here with Ash. What we're going to do is face each other, just a couple of feet apart like this. Now, let's say for this exercise, I'll start as the leader. My role is to make some simple movements that Akash will be my mirror. We will literally mirror each other. Now, my job is to make my teammate look good. I'm not going to make it difficult for Akash to copy me. I'm not going to do this. So I might do something as simple as, and Akash will copy me immediately, not with a 3-second time delay, but immediately. So, okay, so if I do this, so he's copying me. You're mirroring each other, yes? Okay, and this is a silent exercise. A silent exercise, okay? So choose one person in your group, in your pair, to be the leader, to start, and make simple movements that the person can copy safely and easily. Yes? Okay? And make the movements slow and smooth so it's easy for your partner to copy. And now switch the leadership to the other person. Switch the leadership to the other person. Again, slow movements that your partner can copy. And now allow the leadership to just organically flow back and forth from one to the other without speaking. You'll figure it out. And keep it slow and smooth, easy to copy.
Hope you got an ambulance on standby.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Take a seat, please. So tell me about that. What happened? What was your experience as either the leader or the follower? And the process of how did you decide when to pass the leadership or take the leadership to or from your partner? What happened for you?
My partner suddenly created pause for me to take over. We worked it out that if I hang out here for about 2 seconds, that means you should probably take it over.
Right, yes, exactly.
And then it was also intuitive. When we started to do the staying alive thing,
Yes.
it just went.
Yeah, great, thank you. Anybody else? What was your experience of that, either as the follower or the leader?
I thought because it was fun, we were both smiling, so and like
Yeah,
it just was goofy and
yes.
very mellow.
What strategy did you find made it easier for you to be able to follow what your partner was doing? Watching, yes. Eye contact? Yes, eye contact. It's very important. So, there's a suggestion for you. When you're giving your keynote speech, making eye contact with your audience and having a sense of what is the dynamic, the energy dynamic of the room? How is the audience, are they engaged? Are they on the edge of their seat, or are they looking at their phone? Yeah. So all of the skills that improvisers use to be aware of their audience, that little exercise can help you with. And even in a one-on-one conversation with your spouse or your child or your boss or whoever, just having that connection and noticing what's going on with the other person's body, their energy, their eye contact, having eye contact with them. When you're having that sales conversation with your potential client, having that eye contact and really noticing and connecting with them. Yeah? Really useful. I mean, there's several exercises that we could have done, but I think that's one that's going to be very useful for you. So, we're all performers. All the world's a stage. If you want to be a successful, confident, charismatic, compelling keynote speaker, please use these skills of actors and improvisers and storytelling skills. I hope it will make you more successful. Thank you very much.